So it's just actually dark.
Yeah, it's just dark.
Okay.
Go ahead
So,
with it.
but there's audio,
There's audio.
Okay.
but there's no picture.
Okay, fair enough.
They want to make an
Fine.
announcement
Sure,
for those at home,
okay.
you know.
Yeah. So
All right, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Ms. Engel, if you would do roll call, please.
Terry Engel here, Joanne Maloney here, Rich Mueller,
Here.
Travis Ralph is absent, Dan Schmidt,
Hopefully joining us shortly.
okay, yeah, Lauren Shanerock,
Here.
Rick Schultz.
Here. Just want to make a note before we approve the agenda. We are having some technical difficulties here this evening as far as the video portion of the streaming this evening, but we hope people have joined us and the audio should continue to be working, we hope. So we apologize for that inconvenience, and we're going to move forward with the evening though, so thank you all for joining us. With that, we do have the agenda in front of us. Are there any additions or corrections, Dr. Carlson?
No,
I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Ms. Maloney to approve the agenda as presented. Ms. Engel, please.
I don't think we need a voice roll call since anybody participating on the board is present. We can just do voice.
Oh, perfect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for pointing that out, just when I was getting into the rhythm
Now that you're in a
of
roll.
having Ms. Engel work that out. So, thank you. Obviously, the purpose of this evening is to select superintendent candidates to move forward with to the interview process. And we are happy to have Mr. Harold Remy joining us virtually this evening. And at this time, I would introduce him and turn things over to Mr. Harold Remy. Thank you again for joining us.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do the presentation tonight on a virtual basis. And we're having an experience that shows us how fun technology can be these days. But what I'd like to do tonight is share with you the applicants that our search team has vetted and wish to have you approved for interviews, what we call round one interviews, which would take place on March 3rd. Overall, we have 10 applicants, and we've reviewed their recommendations. We've called additional references on most of them. We have reviewed the online survey and tried to match the online survey with the profile that you have established and approved. And we have then 5 candidates that we would recommend for interview tonight. Due to data privacy, we share those with you in an ABC format. And once you've approved the ABC candidate list, then we will give you the names of those 5 candidates. So I'm assuming here that we have nothing that will show up on the screen. Is that right, Dale?
as far as names? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and talk a little bit about each of the candidates A through E. Candidate A
So,
has a specialist degree,
Mr.
has 7 years of experience as a principal
Mr.
in a
Remy?
couple of different
Mr.
school
Remy?
districts in southern Minnesota, has also been a behavior interventionist in state of Minnesota,
Okay.
and has taught at Rasmussen College for 4 years.
Mr. Remy?
Yes,
So I just want to be clear, here we can view it in the boardroom, but
Okay.
we're having video difficulty of live streaming it through the YouTube. So I can bring up that ABC list?
yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Perfect. Let's go on then to candidate B. Candidate B has a doctorate degree, a master's degree, and a bachelor's degree. Currently serving as executive director of a teaching and learning situation in the West Des Moines, Iowa schools, and 11 years of experience as a principal and 3 years of experience as an elementary teacher. Candidate C, if you scroll up to Candidate C, Candidate C has a master's degree and a bachelor's degree, has been a principal for 20 years in 3 different school districts, and has also been a social studies teacher for 10 years. Let's move on to Candidate D. Candidate D has a master's in education, a specialist degree, and is currently finishing the superintendent internship in another school district at the present time. Has been an elementary principal, has for 7 years, and has experience in 2 or 3 other school districts in southern Minnesota. Candidate E, you'll scroll up to Candidate E. Candidate E has a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, also a bachelor's degree, has a superintendent's license, and currently is a technology leadership in education, or the CASET program awardee, is the human resource director in the neighboring school districts for 4 years, has been a middle school principal, and has been a teacher in the area of chemistry for about 20 years as well. Well, those are the 5 that we would recommend. Assuming you would approve, we recommend you approve the A, B, C, D, E list. And once you do that, I will give you the name of each of those candidates.
So we're gonna have to modify, have a couple of motions probably, so this
Sure.
would be, to approve the DEC list.
Is there any discussion on that currently before we call for a motion on the A, B, C, D, E list of candidates presented by Mr. Remy here this evening? Once again, for our listeners out there, we understood this to be part of the process of the research for the South Central Service Co-op to look through these applications and to the best of their ability bring us those 5 candidates forward, which they are presenting here now, that they feel best fit the needs of our district. So again, thank you to Mr. Waltman and Mr. Remy for the work they have done there. And I guess without any other discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve that list of candidates.
I'll move to approve the list of candidates A through E.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Schoenrock, seconded by Mr. Mueller, to approve the list of candidates A through E as presented by Mr. Harold Remy. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have approved the list of candidates to move forward with interviews. Mr. Remy, I will turn it back over to you at this time.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And again, we feel that the 5 that we're bringing forward to you offer a variety of backgrounds and experiences as well as training. So you'll get a chance to look at a lot of different expertise as you interview these 5 candidates. Dr. Carlson, can you put the names list up, or do you want me to just give it verbally? There we go. The first candidate is Kevin Babcock, currently a principal at Medford High School. Second candidate is Dr. Joseph Libby, and he again is working in the West Des Moines School District. Third candidate is Michael Miat. Michael is a principal in the Fairfield School District and has been a principal in a couple of other districts as well, as I mentioned earlier. Moving on to the next candidate is Mary Morrow. And Mary is working on finishing her superintendent internship at the present time and works in the Brighton School District currently. And then the last candidate is Mark Raymond. And Mark is currently the Human Resource Director in a neighboring school district in Austin, and has a master's degree and a BA degree also, as well as having several years of teaching experience. What will happen now, after I am through with this part of your meeting, I will be calling each of these candidates and telling them what we have in terms of an interview schedule for them. Dr. Carlson, do you have that interview schedule?
Yes?
Okay. Now, the candidates A, B, C, D, and E on this schedule is not the same A, B, C, D with the candidate names. I don't think I gave you that, Dr. Carlson, but I'm going to share it with you now. So, board members, if you want to look at the right-hand section of this schedule, your first interview from 11:45 to 12:45 will be with Michael Mihawk. Your second interview, candidate B on this list, will be Mary Morum from Triton. Your third interview candidate will be Kevin Babcock. And your fourth interview will be Mark Raymond. And your final interview will be with Dr. Joseph Libby. Like I said earlier, I will contact them and confirm with them that they have been invited at those times for the interview on March 4th. Any questions about that? All right. If there aren't any, then I'd like to talk a little bit about something that we need to have some discussion about, and that would be the round 2 interview schedule. We have discovered, thankfully, through the office, district office today, that March 9, there would be a potential conflict with election proceedings in townships. So consequently, we're looking at a couple of different options for that March 9 possible interview time. Option A, we could start with having the admin team meet with the candidate from 12 until 1, and then have a district tour, 1 until 3:15. Then do the school board interview from 3:45 to 4:45, and finish with the community interaction, which would be from 5 to 5:45. We want to make sure we're not getting into the 6 o'clock time, which is set aside for township election discussions. Option B would be to start at 11:30 and go to 1:45 again with the tour, and 2 to 3 o'clock with the administrative team, 3:15 to 4:15 with the general public in that interaction time, and then 4:30 to 5:30 a candidate interview with the school board. We could continue to be having one candidate on March 9 if we accept either one of those 2 proposals, and then the second interview of a finalist would be on March 10th, which is what we talked about earlier, starting with a tour at about 1 o'clock and finishing with the school board interviews at about 7:15. So any reaction to what we can do with March 9? I had said earlier that I could make March 8th work, and I could make March 11th work. That doesn't work with some board members. So the option here of doing something different, starting earlier on March 9th, needs to work out fine. Is there either one of those times that you would prefer, or do you have another choice?
We'll have a little discussion here now, Harold, if you don't mind, amongst the board members that are present here, and we'll talk this through a little bit. I know this is a little bit short notice for people to look at their schedules immediately and see how this works, but one concern that's been brought forward with option A from the district standpoint is the lunch. We have to realize that we will be having students in session that particular day, and it does get a little bit complicated. Dr. Carlson, you can elaborate on that?
We need to actually use this room for lunch. And
Okay.
so we'll also be using this room for the administrative team
Hmm.
so A would
Present some
be a
challenges.
little challenging for that purpose. That doesn't necessarily impact, I guess, automatically the order of the next two, the community and board, but maybe a little bit. But I just want to note that part of A would be problematic.
We could perhaps change the tour of the district and the admin team around in option A. If the things that I think we should pay attention here to are, number one, what time the board is available to meet in that day. And in option A, we're starting at 3:45 versus, well, technically we would like the board present for the interaction with the general community. Is that a safe assumption, Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct.
So option B is actually calling the board in at 3:15 versus 3:45 in option A. The one thing I kind of value is that interaction with the community virtually. We have somewhat advertised that to be in that after work time frame. Again, we want to be conscious of that we don't change that too drastically with the community interaction, because we sure want that to be very well accepted, and we want that opportunity for the community to join us for that portion. So I would be sensitive to how that looks. And obviously in option B, we're pushing that a little bit into the workday at 3:15 to 4:15. So perhaps in option A, we could switch tour of the district to start at noon, perhaps, Mr. Remy, and then that administrative team could come in
Right.
after
We
that.
can move those 2 times around.
Excuse me, I think I interrupted you there. Could you repeat that, please?
I think we could move in option A, you could move the 2 first activities around. The time could be a little different,
Right.
obviously, but those could be interchanged. As far as I know, unless there's something going on in the district that wouldn't work.
I think we're getting kind of a nod that would perhaps work. I will ask the board again, are we available as an entire board to be, obviously we'd want to be here early for the board interview, but let's say 3 o'clock would be our requirement as a board on the 9th. Is that still doable with all board members here? That
So if I just, Mr. Schultz, I then, on option A, it would be the tour of the district from like noon to 2:15,
correct?
and then administrative team 2:30 to 3:30.
Yes.
Right.
Are we finding any resistance for any of that, or are we in agreement that that would be an acceptable agenda for that day?
That should work for me.
Good. Dan?
I'd be maybe off just a few minutes
Sure.
to get kids home,
Okay.
because I don't have any other options.
Sure.
At this time, but I
Three-
mean, not by much anyway.
3:45 though is still
That's
doable, so,
doable, 'cause
so 3 o'clock is a little, yeah, okay,
yeah,
perfect.
'cause both of them are here,
Fair enough.
so out at 3:05.
Okay,
I mean, I can,
great.
it's just.
No, and then when I said 3 o'clock, I was just pulling it, I don't, so I think that would be.
Yeah, then
Okay,
anything after 3:15 should
Go ahead.
be easy
Okay.
for me.
look all right. Sounds like we have a solution to it, Mr. Remy.
Sure. So just to make sure that I have the right times down, tentatively then on option A, you would do the district tour from 12 to 2:15. You'd do the administrative team time with the candidate from 2:30 to 3:30, and then start with the board interview at 3:45.
Yes,
Good. That works.
perfect. I appreciate you adjusting so rapidly on that. That was a concern when we first got the news of that, and thank you, Ms. Colseth, for bringing that to our attention so that we are adhering by all the activities of that day. So, great. We appreciate that. So now we can move on. I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Remy.
I really don't have anything else at this point unless you have questions. We're ready to go for Thursday on March 4th, assuming that the candidates still all agree and those times will work for them. I'll confirm that back to you with an email, but I'm assuming that it will work, and we just get ready to go from there.
Excellent. Well, once again, on behalf of the NRHEG School Board, we thank you for all the work you and Mr. Waltman have done to get us to this point. We're excited of some quality candidates moving forward, and we're anxious to meet those people on Thursday. So thank you again for your work.
Thank you. Sounds good.
All right. With that, I believe that brings all our business to conclusion this evening. Is there anything else you'd like to bring forward, Dr. Carlson?
No.
With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Your second?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Engel, seconded by Mr. Schoenrock to adjourn the meeting. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.